All right, welcome to the XP Log, the daily-ish podcast about my gaming journey. I'm running a little late today, so this one's going to be short, or we're going to have to ride and talk. So of course, I'm still playing through Dragon Quest, and I guess I don't really have anything special that super happened. I mean, I did the paintress part or whatever. That kind of reminds me of Claire Obscure, especially since I just called it the paintress. But yeah, that's just a tale on greed, basically, right? Okay. However, speaking of Claire Obscure, I saw IGN's top 25 JRPGs of all time list. And one of the things, nobody was arguing that Chrono Trigger was number one. Just saying. And one of the things that people were going back and forth about in the comments, they weren't being super rude or anything, which is crazy, was the fact that the Final Fantasy game they picked, because they picked one per franchise, was 10. Okay? Not 7, not 6, 10, even 9. Right, and some people did completely agree that 10 is the best Final Fantasy game, and it got me thinking, right? So I think IGN's trying to prove a point, to be honest. When Claire Obscure came out, everybody's, there's a memes about it and everything, that there is room for a legit turn-based Final Fantasy game, because, they said nobody wants a turn-based Final Fantasy game. You think you do, but you really don't, right? And everybody's like, well, what about Dragon Quest? And now what about Claire Obscure? See, y'all could do something crazy with it. So I think 10 was kind of the last legitimate, the most modern turn-based Final Fantasy. I think that's the point, right? Which is crazy to think about, because we're rolling into 17 now. And there were 3 13s. And 14's a freaking MMO. And so is 11. So yeah, it has been a very, very long time since we've had a Final Fantasy turn-based RPG. I do think you could do really cool stuff with it. You just basically have to make all attacks seem like a limit break, or make the attacks seamless looking and stuff like that. I think it would be really cool if they could, you choose what your guys are going to do, like a normal turn-based, but your whole squad has a turn, not individually. That way, depending on your choices, they interact with each other and stuff like that. Would be interesting. So like if you cast fire with this guy and slash crosscut with this guy, you kind of do like a cross flame attack, right? And I know they have synchronized attacks and double text is what they call it in Chrono Trigger. But I mean, just as normal gameplay, and really, oh shit, I'm out of time. And really, all that has to, we gonna ride and talk. We gonna ride and talk. And really, all that has to be is basically visual fluff. It doesn't necessarily have to be mechanic, right? I mean, it's cool if it has like a mechanical thing where, flame crosscut or whatever. But if it just visually, the dude's on fire and the flame crosscut blows it out, cool, right? It doesn't have to mechanically be a special kind of cut or anything like that. Though it would be cool if you use a magic ability and a physical ability, so like you're exploiting the enemy's weakness. it gave that property, like mechanically, it gave that property to the physical attack, right? That would be pretty cool. And then make it to where you could like mix two properties together and they do like crazy stuff. Like if you mix ice and fire, right? Ice magic with a fire attack, or vice versa. It like does like a water or something. I don't know. It'd be pretty interesting. That'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool for them to do. And I mean, will it be anything super new? Not really. Would it be cool in a modern turn-based RPG to do something like that? Hell yeah. One of the weird parts, and I think they kind of do it the best they can. I can't think of any game examples, but this is how I thought Final Fantasy VIII was going to be, because it has a quick turnaround after you pick your attacks. Is if they attack at the same time, right? It's always strange after you pick your attacks that it's just like, okay, chop, okay, chop, okay, chop. I always thought it'd be cooler if you pick all three of your attacks, or if your characters go in a row, that would be even cooler. So, you know how Clair Obscur, or I think it's called shit, I can't think of the abbreviation. It's not ATB, it's not Active Time Battle, it's the one where they show whose turn it is on the left side or whatever, so you can kind of plan. It'd be really cool if it did that based on how many characters you had in a row. So even if one of your guys goes twice or whatever, you pick them in the order they're going to execute. And if one of your guys goes twice, instead of, the camera just kind of playing the footage, so to speak, or whatever, they just tie it all in together as like one cinematic attack, right? Not like cinematic, like fucking shit has to be exploding and stuff like that. I mean, it'd be pretty damn cool. Like if your limit break or special move or whatever was, you get to pick like 4 actions and they all interact or some shit. That'd be super cool. But like, just your guy, instead of attacking and then jumping back in line, attacks his 4 times or whatever, or his 2 times and then throws a fireball and then, buffs the whatever you picked, right? But all in kind of a seamless motion, right? Does that make sense? That would be cool. That's how I think you could do turn-based, modern take on turn-based combat. Would that be super easy to code? No idea. I have no idea. But it sounds freaking cool. Somebody can figure it out. People are geniuses, man. You give them a problem and they'll figure it out. I know somebody can figure that out. Especially considering, like, if you think about, I'm just going to use GTA 4 because that's the first one that comes to mind. I'm sure 5 has it too. GTA 4 and all the physics or whatever, how Nico reacts to everything he bumps into and stuff like that, kind of procedurally. And I'm pretty sure like Assassin's Creed and stuff has procedural climbing and stuff, and so maybe that's not quite as intricate as having a bunch of different attacks, but it's still there, it's still so it's still possible. It's just you have to do those calculations some way, and I mean, the attacks don't always have to be super different or whatever. If you pick 3 attacks, kind of like think Chrono Cross, except your guys all execute at the same time, right? So it's like just a barrage of an attack, and then the enemies do that shit too. It'd be hard to code, wouldn't it? And then people complain about about enemy lack of enemy variety, but it doesn't matter. We just workshop in here, right? So yeah, that is my modern take on turn-based combat and how Square Enix could make a super dope Final Fantasy game with that. Um, Not so much about Dragon Quest today. I'm just kind of going through the motions. I did get to Snifferheim. I started it, right? But I haven't really gotten into it. I'm pretty sure the queen is bad. It's not really the queen or whatever, it's the witch. But I don't quite remember, which is kind of similar to what we just did on Namnam. That's really hard to say. I think they threw that shit into a random name generator and said, let's do it. Yeah, so it's very similar to that, which is kind of but I'm gonna get through it. I'm still having fun. I'm 24 hours in. Have not destroyed the Yggdrasil yet. So, man, I can't believe I was so far in and just stopped playing. I'm sure some shiny gem came and distracted me, but that was on Switch anyway. So I would much rather play on my Steam Deck and my PC with my mods that make it so there's more music that's less loud. But I digress. Let me know how you like this. This turn-based idea, and how easy you think it'd be to execute, or if you have your own takes, your own ideas on how it could work. Don't argue. Just drop them in the comments, and constructive criticism, help each other out. Maybe one of y'all will make the next crazy RPG. It can happen, right? All right, that's all I got. Peace out.